Hey everybody, Mia here. It's like a gazillion degrees here in Ottawa right now. It's the middle of July, so forgive my lack of clothing. I hope it's not too immodest for some of you. So today I just wanted to come on and discuss something that I have thought about off and on when it comes to mental health and stigma around mental health and why that stigma exists and what we can do to kind of combat that stigma and push against it, both as people who might be interested in helping other people and as people who might want to help ourselves to improve in the areas of mental health that we need to improve. And the topic that came up today that got me thinking about this was an interaction I had with a woman when I was discussing mind and body tools. So, I am also a musician, for those of you who don't know, and I teach a program where I teach people to play the cello using mind and body tools. So, meaning thinking about how you feel in your body, thinking about your emotions, how you process emotions, how that affects your body, and how that affects your practice as a musician. And I was trying to explain this a little bit to a person online, somebody I don't know, and this person was saying, this is nothing new, this is really gimmicky. The world isn't just about getting participation stickers, like, you really just need discipline. And I was thinking how often I come up against people who have this attitude around mental health that really, all this stuff about taking care of your mental health, you should really just kind of get over it or get through it, or you just got to get on with life, right? This kind of attitude that if you take time to nurture your emotions, to understand where they come from, to take the time to process, to talk about the difficult things that have happened in your life or the traumas that might have happened to you in the past, whatever those might be for you, that somehow this represents some kind of character flaw. And so I was thinking about the old school kind of definition of character. So let's think about something really biblical. Like, for example, people will say things like, patience is a virtue. And anybody who has been raised in any kind of, traditional home where there might be Christianity or some other kind of religion, you've probably heard the saying, patience is a virtue. And so when you think about it as an adult, if you sit down and think to yourself, like, am I a patient person? And I know for myself, when I ask that question, the answer always comes back, no, no, you are not. You are not a patient person. Patience is something I really struggle with. And then I think to myself, well, how can I be a more patient person? If you don't come from the mindset of patience is something that you need to cultivate, and you cultivate it from inside yourself, you may be inclined to think, I have to discipline myself to be patient. In other words, I have to keep my mouth closed and I have to just suck it all in. And even though I'm not feeling patient, I have to express the patience on the outside. And so this is what I think of as kind of an old school mentality towards how we handle our emotions. But if you take a little bit more of a mind and body approach to the concept of patience, what is patience, right? Patience is the ability to think of something that you might want to happen in the future, that you might be working towards, and not feel upset or anxious or worried or stressed that that thing hasn't occurred yet, right? So that might be patience for something that you want to happen in the future, or you can also express that patience with others when, for example, a person is not displaying a behavior that you would like them to, but you are going to express your patience and allow them to work through to a point where they may be able to express that behavior that you want them to. But how are you going to be cultivating your patience if you don't go inward into yourself and consider, how did I learn about patience as a young person? Did I learn? Was there a role model that showed me how to be patient? How do I understand patience as a set of feelings and emotions in my body? If you're not really able to understand those questions, or if you've never had a real learning experience around patience, and you're not able to be patient with yourself, it's going to be very difficult for you to express patience on the outside with other people. So, in terms of our mental health and how that connects to traditional virtues, we need to have an understanding of how our brains and our minds and our bodies work in order to cultivate these very traditional tools, such as patience, or virtues like patience, like discipline, like honesty. These things don't just come naturally for many people unless you were taught, unless you had a role model that taught you how to be this way, how to think this way. And if you don't have that, you need to work through that with somebody, whether that's with a therapist, or if you're working on your own, working with YouTube videos or meditations, or some kind of guide that can help you to understand what that feels like in your body and be able to express it on the outside. And that takes time. It's a type of reparenting of yourself. If you never got those kinds of values from your parents and you never understood what it felt like to be patient, you could be impatient your entire life, and judging yourself and trying to discipline yourself into being more patient isn't going to work. You need to find that feeling in your body. And that's where a more gentle and self-compassionate approach to your mental health, where you talk about these things with other people, where you educate yourself about these emotions, that's where you can really start to make progress. And so, yes, it's not about getting the participation sticker, but it's about cultivating the feelings inside yourself. They're going to allow you to progress and make progress in all these areas with a foundation that's solid rather than just a whip on your back.